During World War II, soldiers didn't always have the luxury of perfect gear. Parachute cord, or paracord as we know it today, was a prized commodity. Strong, flexible and capable of handling nearly any task, from rigging shelters to fixing equipment. But when you were deep in the field, behind enemy lines, or stationed on remote islands, paracord wasn't always available. So soldiers did what they always did best. They improvised. One of the most ingenious improvisations came not from military engineers, but from ordinary troops in supply-starved outposts. They found that a simple twisted laundry line, the same rope used to hang clothes, could serve as a perfect substitute for paracord. It wasn't glamorous, but it was tough, dependable and adaptable. In many ways, it became the invisible backbone of field survival and ingenuity. By the mid-years of the war, paracord was in massive demand. Airborne divisions, naval units and engineers needed miles of it, and production couldn't keep up with the global conflict's logistics. Infantrymen, medics and mechanics often found themselves without the cord they relied on for everything from lashing down packs to setting up camouflage nets. In North Africa, the Pacific and occupied Europe, soldiers began scavenging for alternatives. They found that the humble laundry line, often made from braided cotton or early synthetic fibres like rayon, offered the same kind of flexibility and tensile strength. In many forward camps, troops traded cigarettes or canned food just to get a few meters of sturdy clothesline. It might have been designed to hold wet uniforms, but in a pinch it could hold up a rifle, secure a shelter, or even lower a wounded man down a ravine. Laundry line became an unofficial part of the soldier's kit. Not issued, but always found. It represented the fieldcraft mindset that defined the generation. When you don't have what you need, you make do with what you have. The reason this substitution worked so well came down to materials and construction. Paracord, officially known as Type 3 parachute cord, consisted of a woven nylon sheath surrounding 7 inner strands. It was lightweight, yet strong enough to handle around 550 pounds of load. Laundry line, especially the kind found in the civilian markets of the 1930s and 1940s, wasn't too far off in structure. Most laundry lines of the era were made from tightly twisted cotton or rayon fibres, sometimes coated with wax or rubber for weather resistance. Others had a braided exterior with a soft inner core, almost a civilian cousin to paracord itself. The twisting created elasticity and prevented fraying under tension, giving it the durability soldiers needed in harsh conditions. In the Pacific Islands, troops preferred waxed lines since they resisted mould and salt water. In Europe, cotton lines were favoured for their silence. Unlike nylon, they didn't squeak or snap when pulled tight. This mattered for soldiers working at night near enemy lines. Every choice, even the type of rope, could mean the difference between success and failure. What makes this story remarkable is how creatively the soldiers used it. In field manuals, paracord was recommended for dozens of applications, but the troops took it even further. Laundry line substitutes filled every possible role. Scouts used it to secure camouflage netting or to lash branches for improvised cover. Medics used it to fasten splints or as makeshift stretchers. Mechanics in tank crews tied engine panels with it when bolts rattled loose. Engineers used longer lengths to haul equipment, create pulley systems, or improvise bridges over flooded ditches. Paratroopers even learned to repair broken parachute harnesses or tent ropes with lengths of laundry line when replacements were impossible to get. There are accounts of soldiers using it as fishing line when separated from their units, unwinding the strands to create thinner threads suitable for catching small fish in creeks or shorelines. One particularly clever use was in silent communication setups. In low-light conditions, soldiers strung laundry line between trenches or foxholes to slide small notes or supplies back and forth without speaking. It became a silent lifeline, both literally and strategically. If you want to try this for yourself, it's easier than you might think. And it still has practical uses for modern survivalists, campers, or anyone interested in fieldcraft. All you need is a section of heavy-duty clothesline, preferably cotton or nylon, braided. Cut a length of about 2 meters and test its strength by looping it between 2 fixed points and pulling evenly. If it stretches without fraying, you've got a good match. To make it even more versatile, you can melt wax into the fibers to increase resistance to water and abrasion. Simply heat a small block of paraffin wax, rub it into the line, and let it soak overnight. The result is a flexible, weatherproof cord nearly identical in function to Second World War Paracord. In a field setting, you can use it the same way soldiers did. Tie down tarps, make traps, repair torn gear, or fashion a sling. If you're in a survival situation, unwind the inner strands to use as fishing line or thread. It's one of those small skills that could make a huge difference when you're short on gear. What stands out about this piece of forgotten history is that it wasn't the product of official design or high technology. It was born out of necessity and human adaptability. Soldiers didn't wait for supply lines to deliver the right equipment. They used what they had, and in doing so proved that survival isn't about what you carry. It's about how you think. The laundry line paracord substitute became one of those invisible tools that kept countless field operations running smoothly. It embodied the principle of quiet efficiency. Simple, durable, and endlessly useful. To this day, those who practice bushcraft or emergency preparedness carry that same mindset forward. Adaptability is strength. The story of the Second World War laundry line paracord substitute is more than a curious footnote. It's a lesson in improvisation, ingenuity, and the enduring value of simple materials. When resources ran dry and supplies were thin, soldiers turned a piece of household rope into a survival lifeline. That's the essence of practical fieldcraft. Transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. If you found this history as fascinating as I did, take a moment to share it with someone who appreciates the hidden details of wartime survival. And if you haven't already, subscribe to The Backyard for more deep dives into forgotten tools, survival secrets, and the clever field hacks that shaped both history and modern preparedness.